Hi guys, so you may have heard the story of Andrew Dawson, the TikToker that found a giant and was potentially killed by the CIA. When I first heard the story, it had everything that would grasp my attention. I love a good conspiracy, so we have the CIA, following this man because he has found something that he shouldn't have found. He has seen things that he shouldn't have seen. We have giants. I mean, come on. I love Bigfoot, right? So now you're telling me that he found a giant. I'm all in. I'm all in. But the truth of the story may be so much more simpler than we want to believe, right? We love a good mystery, all of the conspiracy surrounding this. And for those of you who know the story, you know that he has passed. And even in death, the stories, the speculation, and the rumors have not only not died out, they have amped up. So let's look at the case. And I will kind of tell you as we go along what I think happened. So Andrew Dawson was a gentleman who was very active on social media. He had a Facebook account, he had a YouTube account, and he had a TikTok account. I'm sure he was probably on Instagram and everything else. But those are the ones that I personally have spent the most time kind of looking at. The Facebook account, which is now a memorial page, was your pretty standard Facebook family man kind of page. It was tons of pictures of him with his girlfriend and their children. I'm not sure if these children were biologically his or if they were hers and he was acting in the role of father, but regardless, he was extremely active with these children. And they looked like they had a great family life, tons and tons of different occasions, birthdays, gatherings with extended family and friends. And then he had his TikTok page, which is where he seemed to be a little bit more free, to be a little more silly. He just had a lot of TikToks of him, doing kind of crazy things, yelling out the car window and saying kind of obscure and funny things to passerbys, tons of TikToks that, TikTok is. He made little clips of either his girlfriend, a lot with his dog, and it would be set to music that was it was really lighthearted and it was really funny. And there was less on that page in regards of the children. It was mostly just kind of playfully making fun of his girlfriend, his dog, and just being a funny guy, right? And then he had his YouTube page, which looks like it was more devoted to music, which may have been a goal of his, because he did have a couple on TikTok and on Facebook, but very few of kind of videos that he made of himself singing. So everything's going along, very, very normal for what you see on social media. And then we hit April of 2022. And in April, he is driving along with his coworker. Now, supposedly this took place in Alberta, Canada. And the mountains that we're going to talk about supposedly were Jasper National Forest, although it has since been said that that may not be the actual location at all. It may have been in British Columbia. And I don't think that that's weird. I think a lot of people on social media may not want to put their true exact location out there. especially if they're extremely active on social media. I'm not alarmed if somebody fibs about their location on social media. But regardless. So he's driving along, and on the top of the mountain, he sees this image. And he says to his coworker, and he's TikToking, look, it's a giant. His coworker is literally like, no, it's not. Like, that's like, his inflection is just like, dude, no, it's not. He's like, no, look. He's super amped up. He's super excited. Like, it's a giant. That's a human. But if it's way over there and we can see it that clearly, it must be a giant. And he's like super excited about it. And his friend is not. His friend is like, no, it's not. And I feel like that would be me, because when I looked at this picture, even for all of the people who then would comment and kind of go along with this and seem to really think that he had captured something, I, from day one, thought that looked like some kind of tower or something to me. And I am the first one to get excited and to see things where there is nothing. You know what I mean? Everything's like a ghost. Everything's like cryptid. Like, that looked like nothing to me, but whatever. So he then decides he's going to get closer. He's going to get closer to this. Apparently, he says the video blew up and people wanted him to get even closer. And so he does attempt to get closer, but when he does, it's gone. And then he's like, oh my God, it's gone. He says that he talked to locals, and the locals were like, oh, yeah, like, yes, there are giants over there, and they come and they go. Well, look, I feel like every area has its own legends, right? So I wouldn't be all that surprised if that really did happen, if he really did talk to locals and they really did say that, yes, something lives up in the mountains. We don't even know that he actually talked to any locals because he doesn't film that. Also, it's been said by people who kind of attempted to get to that location that the second time that he went attempting to get closer, he was actually at a different angle or a different location. And so what later apparently really was some kind of cell phone tower, the giant, would not have been seen from the second location. Then he starts to kind of asking people, if they want to sponsor him, do they want to help him get a helicopter so he can like get right up there and he can investigate. Like, he's really getting into this, and his viewers are really getting into this, and he ends up getting a lot of followers that he didn't have previously. Whether or not he really believed that first time that he saw something or not, we will never know. He seemed like kind of a fun guy who maybe just really did think he's seen something and got really caught up in the moment. And maybe he really did think that initially, but I don't think that he thought that for long, or that he thought that through the duration of what was happening. And I just noticed that there's some really bad shadowing here, so I don't know. I apologize for that. But anyway, so he then films himself, or excuse me, the first time he doesn't. He states in a video that he attempted to go back there and that he was stopped on the road by what he claimed to be some kind of government official, maybe a CIA agent, and that he was told that he could not go down that road any closer to that location. And he stated, this is a public road, there's no reason why I can't. Now, that was not filmed, but he promises to go back the next morning, and if the same person is there or anybody is there that attempts to stop him, he will film it. And that's just what he did. He goes at like 5:30 in the morning, and indeed he is stopped by somebody on that road who, in a very weird way is just like, turn around. You can't drive down here, turn around. No explanation, no anything. Now, I found it really odd. So whether or not this was somebody that he had asked to play the role of somebody stopping him from going down the road, or whether there really was somebody there, I have no idea. I found the interaction very strange because the guy, regardless of who he was, whether he was a government official, whether he was a construction worker, if the road was being repaired, like whoever he was, he never identifies himself, and he's just very like monotone. He's like, turn around, you can't drive down here. No explanation, nothing. And this Andrew guy, from watching his TikToks, doesn't seem to me, the way he so casually and easily talks to strangers and says all of these like ridiculous things to strangers that could even like piss them off. He doesn't seem to me so shy or not the type of person who would inquire excuse me, as to why he couldn't go down the road if he was told not to. That seemed off, because Andrew's literally like, okay, and like drives away. At another point during all of this, Andrew films like a UFO. Now listen, that area, Jasper National Forest, if in fact that was the actual location, does have a history of being known for paranormal things, for, Bigfoot and paranormal activity, and you name it. So it's not crazy that one may see a UFO and one may think they see a UFO in this location, in my opinion. But I will say that if this person, if Mr. Dawson was in a very short amount of time filming giants and UFOs and like all of this stuff, that would be weird, right? Like, how lucky are you? Because even your most relentless researchers of, the paranormal don't get that lucky that within a couple of days they're filming UFOs and giants and everything else. So that was kind of almost laughable, but people were like super into it on his page, and he just kept going with it. After that, he even ends up filming what he says is an extraction. There's a helicopter and they're extracting things out of the forest. Well, that turns out to just be a logging thing. Like, they're literally loggers. This is what they do. It's like a normal thing. But he kind of wraps that all up into this entire story. So now there's like an extraction happening in the woods. Andrew ends up saying that he is being stalked at one point, that the same guy from the road that told him to turn around was driving by his home, and he films himself like going outside, car speeds away. Listen, if it was the CIA, I would imagine that their surveillance techniques are a little bit more professional than them sitting in front of your house. When you open the door, they loudly like gun it and take off. I would find that hard to believe. I would also find it hard to believe that because you made a TikTok that you thought you saw a giant, that the CIA is like coming to sit in front of your house. But who knows, right? We know that a lot of suspicious things happen to people who meddle in government things that are meant to be kept quiet. But I'm just not sure that this was one of them. Then Andrew makes a video where he says that the whole entire thing was just a hoax, that it was just for content. And that should have been the end of it, except that the video was a little strange. He's standing against the wall, and this is somebody who's always like amped up and very, kind of loud and talkative and, hyper. And now he's just like standing against a wall, and his eyes keep shifting off, like he's looking at something or somebody off to the side. And he's like, it was all fake. Sorry to disappoint you. I mean, it was a weird video, but did he do that intentionally? Who knows? Then he ends up he goes quiet. He ends up eventually making a follow-up video where he's just kind of like talking. It's kind of dark and he's walking and he's talking really quickly. And he's like, none of it was fake. It was all true. This may be the last time that, I ever make a video or you ever see me. Now, there was one more video after that, but it was literally just a picture of the top of a mountain and there's a structure there. And he claims that the structure went up overnight and it was some kind of military thing. In fact, the whole video is just titled military. But that has been debunked, and that this was a structure that's actually been there since like the 60s or something. All of this takes place in April, and it may have slightly run into May. By July 1st, 2002, there was an obituary in the local paper where Andrew lived that said that Andrew passed away, and a cause of death was not listed. A lot of people then took to social media, specifically Reddit, and non-stop conversations went on about the fact that people did not believe that some people did not believe that Andrew was deceased. A lot of people believe that he faked that to get away, to go underground. And a lot of people believe that he was deceased, but that was due to the CIA because he had seen things up on that mountain, or that the government believed. Hey, sorry, so I ran out of space because I never delete anything off of my phone. But anyway, so it has even been speculated that Andrew Dawson was not his real name. It has been speculated that his girlfriend is an actor or actress and that she is not really his girlfriend, and that this whole thing was done through a content farm. Now, if you are not familiar with a content farm, it is essentially websites that put out a lot of content very quickly, obviously just for financial gain. And it's usually not, super high quality. You probably see it all the time. You're scrolling Facebook or, whatever, and ads will pop up for you to click on with these catchy titles, TikToker, finds half alligator, half bear, you know what I mean? Like crazy titles, and you click on them, and often there might be a video or it might just be an article, and they are full of ads to get you to click on. They're not well written. So these are done by content farms. And now there are some more reputable ones like eHow, Ask.com, but a lot of them are, kind of cheesy. And people thought maybe he was working for one of them, and so Andrew wasn't his real name. His TikTok was set up specifically so that this little series of videos could be made. Now, I would say that I don't believe that to be true because he had the TikTok for at least a year prior. And I don't think that these kind of quick kind of story content farms are going to waste a whole year preparing this TikTok just so that they can make a few bucks off of the ad revenue on these videos. Although he did end up with like 1 million followers, but still, I don't think so. I believe that Andrew Dawson was a real person. That was his real name. I believe that this, for the most part, I don't want to necessarily say hoax, but yeah, I think he did it for content. Whether or not he believed it the first day, I don't know, but I think he got caught up in the story of it. I think that it was exciting and it was fun, and I think he got caught up in it. And he got so many followers, and he just had a good time with it. I truly believe that his girlfriend is really his girlfriend, and I'm going to call her Salma Awad. I don't know that that's her real name, but that is her name on Facebook, and it's a beautiful name, so I'm just going to call her that. They had their Facebook for a long time before this whole thing. Their both of their Facebooks for a long time before this whole TikTok sensation happened. And they clearly had a family life going on that they put on social media. And I was able easily from her Facebook and from his memorial page to find their, his mom and aunts and this one and that one and friends. And you can go to their pages and see that they were all active in each other's lives for a long time. The reason also that I think that he was just messing around is because all of this was on TikTok, but simultaneously at the time that he was posting about his giant and his CIA and all of this, he didn't put any of that on Facebook, and he was active on Facebook. He was still just posting normal family things. So I think his Facebook was for like his normal everyday life, and TikTok is where he just kind of lived out this kind of fun, silly, crazy stuff. Which makes me believe that he didn't really think he was being stalked or anything like that, because he never made any mention of anything on his regular Facebook page or on his YouTube channel, which was devoted again to kind of his pursuit of music career. I do believe that Andrew Dawson is deceased, and people said, well, they thought it was a fake obituary because anybody can put an obituary. It's not illegal to make a fake obituary. And I would even say, well, maybe what started out as fun got so out of hand for him that he pulled back and he needed kind of like an end to it. And so he put out this obituary to let all those followers of like the Giant saga think that he was deceased. But no, he truly does seem to be deceased. If you look at his date of death, which was July 1st of 2022, and you go to all of his family's Facebooks, you will see that it does seem to coincide with what they were saying at the time. And some people said that nobody in his family talked about his death, but that's not true. I even saw a memorial video, a video that was made and played at his memorial service. So it's out there if you dig around a little bit. About January maybe of 2022, Andrew was writing some things on Facebook about depression, not saying that he was depressed, but it was kind of like, F you, depression. Even if you're depressed, like, get up and like make it happen, get through the day. Suicide is not the answer, and stuff like that. It appears from things that I'm seeing on his family and friends pages that Andrew may have succumbed to depression and taken his own life. And I don't think it had anything to do with the giant. I think it had everything to do with depression that he seemed to be battling, because he made mention of it periodically on, again, not mention that he was depressed, but kind of like inspirational quotes for people who may be feeling depressed. And mental health awareness seems to be a running theme now within his family and friends on their social media pages. So I do truly believe that Andrew is deceased. And people say, well, he never looked depressed. He looked so happy. Are you serious? If there's one thing that we know about mental health struggles or depression, is that you cannot assume because somebody is jolly and laughing and fun to be around that they are not battling depression. So that cannot be in any way a reason to discredit the fact that he may have been depressed and that he may have lost his battle with depression. So my final answer, in my opinion, is that Andrew Dawson is a real person by that name. His girlfriend is a real person by that name. They have real family and friends, and that there was no giant, and that he may have kind of believed it to start with. I think he got caught up in it. I think it was fun. I think he had a good time with it. I think it was just for content and followers, and that's why he just kept it on his TikTok page. And I think that he went silent, not because the CIA was after him, but because around that time he was starting to battle that final bout of depression that ultimately, I believe, led to his death on July 1st, 2022. His last Facebook post was June 25th, as was his girlfriend's last post. So I think that they were dealing with some personal things at that point. That's what I believe. Tell me what you think. Do you think that there is so much more to the story? It's, some great conspiracy. The CIA was involved. There was a giant. He found military secrets. Or do you think it was just kind of like a fun little content hoax game, and that it coincided with his real life battle with depression? And that's why he went quiet, and that his death was, in fact, real. Tell me what you think, and I will see you soon. Bye.